You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, I am Steven Willis, host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He is Tim Thomas, former Ole Miss basketball player, and hey, if I say so myself, legend at Ole Miss with the basketball team. Played under Bob Weltlich on the SEC championship team, on the first team that ever went to the NCAA tournament. What was that like? Because you were dealing with a lot of people that had never done that, Tim.
Yeah, it kind of shocked us too. We had to win 3 games in the SEC tournament to get there, and had to beat Dominic Wilkins and his team that year in Georgia. So it was kind of a shock. And we got out to Wichita State. That's where they played the game, and we played Kansas. But it was a good following. Everybody kind of jumped on the bandwagon, as you say. So it was a good following, and we played well. We had a real good game, and it came right to the end of the game. They had a kid named Darnell Valentine, played pro for many years, and he made a few plays towards the end that they just barely beat us by a bucket or so.
Yeah, it was something else, but that was the first time it's ever happened. And we're going to get into basketball season because the SEC slate is starting today with Ole Miss hosting the Georgia Bulldogs. But before we hit that, we got to talk about the Gator Bowl a little bit. That was an absolutely unbelievable game by Jackson Dart. Offensively, that Duke team was probably the best defense in the entire ACC this season. Ole Miss put up 52 points and honestly should have had more. And I mean, overall, it's like Lane Kiffin needs to, file an HR complaint with the SEC offices for having to carry everybody on his back. This can't be good for his health.
Yeah, I think he piled it on for a reason. I know Dart and Watkins kind of got that last touchdown on their own, they say, but he got them to come back. A little revenge tour, you might call it. So I think that's how he got all of them to come back, is to try to prove the point that SC is much better than the ACC, and he proved it last night.
Yeah, it was one thing that he kept bringing up even during the game about the ACC, because whenever the conversation was happening about the playoffs way back in early December, the ACC schools, they like to pick on Ole Miss. They did. Everybody, SMU and everybody wanted to pick on Ole Miss for whatever reason, whether it be Miami or SMU or whoever it is. They felt like they all should be on the playoffs, and Ole Miss was kind of their victim because South Carolina had just beaten Clemson. Alabama was Alabama, but Ole Miss to them was an easy target to take because Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. Lane Kiffin was like, whoa. Have you seen my record against the Atlantic Coast Conference as I've been at Ole Miss and the scores of those games? You do not want this smoke. And yes, I do think that he wanted to prove a point in this ball game.
Yeah, he proved it, and like you said, he definitely kept talking about it. And SEC is far better than any of the ACC. Clemson's pretty good, so-called, but they're not really up there either. Top to bottom, SEC is much better than ACC. It's proven, it's clear. I don't know, Alabama had a problem the other day in South Carolina with their games. A lot of it's just being ready to play and being focused, kind of like alluding to the Memphis game last week for the basketball Rebels. Just wasn't ready to play. Several of those guys, Brakefield, even Morrell, I know he's had an injury, and even Dre Davis, he wasn't ready. And Padula kind of was, when you have a Christmas break, you get kind of rusty a little bit. The coaches, I kind of blame it on them. Somehow or another, they didn't do the Christmas break right. You got to give them a day or two off, see their family, whatever. When you come back, you got to be ready to go, and they were not. The first few minutes even the first few minutes of the second half just wasn't ready to play. Padula struggled some. Juju made a few shots, and our inside game is still no-show. Their guy from last year, our guy, Musa Cisse, kind of showed out, had an All-American game, just really played well, revenge game for him. And if he'd looked like that last year, we'd have been in the NCAA tournament for sure. But he was fired up, whatever reason, between him and Beard or the Rebels, he was ready to play, and he played a great game. But I don't know, the players, they're getting paid now. They're professionals. They just wasn't mentally ready. They wasn't focused. I think Beard called it, they didn't bring their A game. Yeah, they just didn't show up. They were not ready to play. I'm hoping Morrell, that's an injury issue. Hopefully he got a week now to get that better. So we got to get rid of all these excuses. We got Georgia coming up today, and we got to make it happen.
With the amount of money that's going in and with the fan base contributing money essentially for the players right now, I think I made a decision about, 7-8 months ago that this year was going to be talked about differently. I was going to handle what was going on. I was going to basically be much more blunt than I would normally be when I was handling college athletes with kids' gloves before. I didn't do that this year. And not surprisingly, the view count went up and up and up and up. And that appeared to be the sentiment of most of the fan base. And they weren't ready to play against Memphis. A slow start to start the game. We saw that in the FedEx Forum. I guess it was the last time that Ole Miss went up there. They had the slow start at the beginning and could not overcome it. So they've struggled at the FedEx Forum, even under Kermit and Chris Beard. But the question becomes now, Ole Miss begins SEC play starting this morning with the Georgia Bulldogs. And Georgia has one loss. Ole Miss has two, I believe. All of the teams in the SEC are going to be good teams. This is a quad one win opportunity for the Georgia Bulldogs, and it's probably pretty close to a quad two opportunity for the Ole Miss Rebels, right?
We understand all 18 games are either quad one, quad two. I think I saw one service said 16 out of the 18 right now are quad ones. I think a couple of them, LSU and another team, they were not quad ones, South Carolina maybe. But it's hard to know what's going to happen here. It starts today. We got several down at the bottom picked, and at the top, we know Auburn's up there, and Alabama and Kentucky and Tennessee. We'll see what happens around the 6 through 15. That's where we got to really worry about that. That's where we are. We're not up there in the top echelon. Don't try to kid anybody. We don't have the inside presence. Guys, we try to tell it like it is. The guys are soft. Our guys, for at this point in time, I saw Brown Jones the other day against Long Island or somebody. He made an inside move and he puts his arms up, showing his muscle. Man, we talking about the Sharks of Long Island or Queens, wherever they come from. Man, this ain't a broom for Auburn. But it is what it is. But Malik Dia, he don't like to get in there either. He likes to do the fadeaway, and he likes to hit there at the 3-point line. It was good to see him make a few shots towards the end of that game at Memphis because he had really been struggling. But Padula, let's be positive. Padula is our leader. Juju does a great job too. We got to get those guys. They're the two leaders. They're the two that's got to make it happen. The other guys, Ray Davis, Morrell hadn't showed up yet. Hopefully it's the injury issue, but he's got to come on. And for us to win, he's got to be that third guard, and along with Barnes, have got to make things happen. The inside guys will do what they can, but that's the only way we're going to win this game. 3-point shooting is we're going to win. We got to win 8. Some people say 9, but the way with the quad ones, we got to win 8 games somewhere, somehow. Hopefully, most of them will be at home, but we got to try to steal 1 or 2 away because even at home, it's going to be hard to beat some of these guys. Tennessee, Auburn's, and Alabama's, even at the Pavilion, it's going to be hard to beat them. So maybe we can steal a few away from home to get our 8. We need 8. 9 would be great. Wouldn't be any question at all with 9. But 8 is where a lot of people are saying. That's what I'm looking at with the we got 11 wins. That'd be 19. So we can get that with the quad ones. And right now we're still, I think, 39 in the net. So we got to win, though. We got to keep winning, or that net just going to keep dropping. But right now I feel like we're in a good shape. We got to get started today at 11 o'clock at the Pavilion.
With SEC kicking off today with the Ole Miss Rebels versus the Georgia Bulldogs, what does the SEC actually look like? What are some teams to watch that you might not be thinking of? Because everybody is basically good this year. We'll talk about that as soon as we come back. The NFL playoffs are almost here, and it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many different ways for you to pick up the W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown or how many points each team will score. It's thrilling. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make your every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Did Rocket Money help you find subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finance. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel those unwanted subscriptions, that monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions or spending habits or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. For me, the best feature is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I just weren't using anymore. Subscription services love for you to forget about their services and just keep donating money into that pot. But I've already saved a ton. And plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for the future. No more stressing about budgeting every single month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goal faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on, rocketmoney.com/locked on. So let's turn our attention, Tim, to the SEC as a whole. The elite teams in the conference. This is kind of the, now that SEC play is started, the primer for everybody. Auburn and Tennessee looks to be the class of the league. Alabama is way up the list, and Florida just seemingly can't be beat right now.
Florida's the team that I would like to talk about. They're very good. They got a couple of great guards, and that's the key. We talked about it. You got to have guards, point guards. Just, you got to have a shooter. I was seeing something a few weeks back of the 30-30 on the team when they won 2 in a row, the 2 national championships. You got to have great players inside. You got to have a rim protector. You got to have rebounders, which we're struggling with rebounding. Man, I don't know. What do we got to do about it? We were minus 12 against Memphis. That's not a good sign. But hopefully Brown Jones and Malik Dia will come around. And I was glad to see that Bowl came in, had some good minutes. And Flatkey, I really enjoy watching them play. But I think Georgia, this team we're playing today, Georgia's really good. They're like 12-1. They got a freshman, a guy they say he might be a first-rounder, Asa Newell. A couple other guys. They got Demery, a guy named Lawrence. So they got some good guys, good guards, got a good big guy inside. So that they are better than they were in the past years, and we'll have to play our best to beat them today.
Yeah, Mike White is the coach. Ole Miss legend Mike White is the coach of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, he was at Florida before, and some reason or another, I don't know if they decided they didn't want him or Georgia wanted him more, a little more money. I'm not sure, but he's done a good job. It's first few years he struggled a little bit, but this year I can see that they're a lot better. I saw him play just a little bit one day, and they look really good, and they're going to be hard to beat. That guy inside, he's for real, and our guys inside are going to have to step up. And hopefully this whole week of practice here, I'm hoping that they've worked on blocking out and rebounding drills, and it's going to be second nature to them just to block out and go get the ball. Hopefully we're going to have to block out. We're going to have to get rebounds, and we're going to really have to shoot the three on a consistent basis to beat anybody.
Yeah, and Florida and Auburn are probably the worst 2 fan bases in the entire SEC. That's why Mike White is in Georgia right now. Is Florida is just it's an awful fan base. Just look at what they did to Billy Napier this year in the process of doing it. And look what Auburn, I mean, I don't mean to throw any strays at the Auburn Tigers right now, but it feels like they change a coach every 2 years, and just they lucked into Bruce Pearl having to show cause.
He's a real deal, guys. The jungle, I hadn't been to this new place. It's like the pavilion, really looks like a pavilion. They got it set up a little different where the students can be much closer. But they probably won't lose a game at the jungle, and they're up there with Tennessee. If Tennessee loses, Auburn will bump up to number 1 in the whole nation. They're that good. Broom's great. They got several guards, can really play the inside game. Cardwell's good. Auburn's good. Alabama's good. They recruit very well, and Tennessee to play the best defense probably in the SEC. Every day in, day out, they got really probably the best player in the SEC other than Broom and Sears is that Chaz Lanier for Tennessee. He's super. He portaled in, and he ain't taught to connect, but he's really good. He can really score, really takes the ball the whole well. And that's what we got to get. We got to get guys to take to the hole, get fouled, hit the free throws. We got to rebound better. The guard play has got to be better. We got to guard. And I know you like my man Brakefield. Your man Brakefield. Sorry about that. He struggles at defensive wise, and I think I said it maybe a year ago. If I was still playing, I would want Brakefield to be guarding me. That he struggles on the guarding, and he can come in, score, and hit a three here and there, and I like that. He's going to have to step up, and Dre Davis is going to have to step up because he's pretty good inside. And he rebounds well, and I'm looking forward to Bowl though. Like I said, I think he's got a lot of potential. McDonald's All-American, John Bowl, 7'2". He's getting bigger, stronger, looks a little thicker. If that's such a thing, he looks a little thicker. He looked really small earlier, but he played. He had some intensity. He couldn't match up with Memphis, but he made a few plays. I think he dunked one, got a few rebounds, and I was pleased to see it. And I really enjoy Flafke. I know I mentioned him a lot. Eduardo Flafke's freshman guy from Brazil, really plays tough, hard defense. And they say he talks in all the meetings and all the pregame and in the huddles, he talks out. So he's going to be a leader for them. And he can hit a three. He can really hit the three. For a freshman stepping up in the corner, he had a couple up in Memphis in the FedEx. That place was full of 20,000, I think, whatever it holds. But I enjoy watching him. I think it's just my opinion. They had 7 practices till today, and it may be some lineup changes. I could see it happen. Who wants it the most, I think Beard's going to throw the ball out there like a loose ball drill, and he's going to throw the ball out there and say who wants it the most, and we'll see who wants it. We'll see whatever the starting lineup is today.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Tim Thomas, former Ole Miss basketball player, coming on to talk Ole Miss basketball today. The Ole Miss Rebels take on the Georgia Bulldogs. I hope everybody enjoys the pavilion. We are officially into basketball season as it is portal season for football time right now. Tim, thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Great. Happy New Year to you and all those watching, and God bless.
Happy New Year.